Iran's national team was in Australia, and they refused to sing the national anthem of the Islamic Republic as a way to protest against the Islamic Republic. And inside Iran, this famous guy, a huge personality on the Islamic Republic state TV, came out and said that these people have committed treason and they should be punished, and made an example of. They should be punished in the most harsh, difficult way. And also, basically, this is very dangerous because the punishment for treason is very high inside Iran. So then we saw a video of them being taken back to Iran, like on a bus. And apparently, people were saying that they could see them doing help signs using sign language. So Dan is asking, why didn't they just refuse to get on the bus? So the Islamic Republic has mastered the art of intimidation. So this is not the first time the Islamic Republic deals with this. There's so many athletes that the Islamic Republic takes to different countries for the past many, many years, and many of these people would like to stay inside those countries and claim asylum instead of going back. So it's not like the Islamic Republic that hasn't doesn't know how to deal with this. They have figured out many, many different tactics to tell people that this is will happen if you do such a thing, including the intimidation of their family. So they make sure that there is a way that they could punish them in case they decide to do such a thing, right? Um, so that's one thing. I also want to post a link to the petition that Nail Bunny shared with me. Let me actually also share it maybe on the screen if you guys want to go sign it. Give me a second. Yep, let me see. Do I have it? Yeah, I do have it. Okay, so here's a link to the petition. So yeah, guys, so you could, if you're watching this later and you don't have access to the chat, you could just search for this on change.org. It says provide protection for Iran's women's national football team. So yeah, this is actually very dangerous because I would assume that the Islamic Republic is going to be acting even more radically than before, given that they're on the verge of collapse and they're not gonna, they don't want to let anybody get any ideas like this. So as brutal as the Islamic Republic has been, the expectation is that they're now going to be even more brutal because their survival is at risk. So they might actually want to use these girls to threaten other people, to make an example off of them. So this is a very dangerous situation for these girls. We did see them being put on the bus and being taken back to the airport to bring to Iran. So again, if you guys could sign this petition to bring more attention to this, it would be really great. Did you have a
So,
follow-up question, by the way?
yeah,
Yeah.
is the purpose of the petition then that if Australia forcefully stops them from coming back, then there's some hope that their families aren't going to be harmed?
That's actually a very good way to think. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but now that you mention it, yeah, maybe if they're forced to stay, then there's no point of punishing their families because they weren't even making that decision. But I don't know what the Islamic Republic does anyway, because the Islamic Republic is just going to, they might want to punish them anyways, just because so that other people don't get any ideas. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that bringing more attention to this is does more good than harm. So I think that we need to do what we can to bring attention to this. Yeah. But it's a difficult situation. Hopefully these are some of the last days that we have to deal with stuff like this.
Thank
Yeah.
you, and I hope so too. Next, I have Richard.
Thank you. So, Armin, I heard something interesting theory about how the situation in Iran relates to Taiwan. A little bit abstract, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So, of the three competing world powers, the US, China, and Russia, China is the only world power that is not energy independent. They rely on oil imports. Um, Basically, China had set up a situation where they were getting cheap oil from Iran and Venezuela, who have either been taken out of the markets or were going to be taken out of the markets. The only other resource for China practically to get oil is Russia, but after the crown prince takes power again. So the question is then, given that Russia won't give China too much oil because they're frenemies. They don't want to see a situation where China gets too powerful. China may even be forced to purchase from us, from America. Do you think that changing the regime in Iran could be a way to contain China and ultimately protect Taiwan and prevent further war in the Pacific region?
Yeah, I mean, from the U.S. perspective, the regime change in Iran is all about China. Like that's this is it has everything to do with China, right? And it's not like a black and white zero, 0 1 kind of situation. It's a spectrum. So China has a lot of dominance over rare earth metal, and this is very dangerous given where we're heading when it comes to technology and AI. We are getting into a situation where it's a winner take all situation. They any in the smallest amount of gap when it comes to advancements in AI and other technology means that going like it has a compounding effect, right? So even just a slight advantage 10 years from now is going to turn into such a big gap between the winners, and there's no second place winner in this game that we're playing right now. Is there's winners and everyone else is one winner and everyone else is the loser, because the gap would be so wide. Like, you think the gap between US power and everyone else right now is huge? This is nothing compared to how big the gap is going to be because of the compounding effect of technological advancement, right? So the fuel for this technological advancement, as we're seeing, especially with AI, is rare earth metals and energy, energy, right? So China's ability to have so much dominance over rare earth metals is going to become such a strategic advantage for China. So United States needs to dominate the energy market. So basically, having Venezuela on their side, and now if they could get Iran on their side, the dominance over rare earth metal is not going to be as strategically as important as US's dominance when it comes to the energy markets. And again, it's not about controlling all energy. It's controlling having enough control over the energy market for you to have a very powerful leverage, right? So I don't think, like, for example, Russia is going to refuse to sell oil and gas to China because they need the money, right? And they might sell it at a discount even because they're being sanctioned, and China has been proven to willing to be buying sanctioned oil, right, at a discount because there's risk associated with that. So it might be more devastating for Russia because they have to sell it at a discount to China because there's less customers for them if they continue to be under US sanctions, right? So Russia needs that revenue, so they can't refuse to sell it. However, the way it works, that even if they keep buying it, the fact that you have access to less supply of energy and then you have to buy it from one customer, then China's leverage over Russia would be reduced, and they wouldn't be able to get it at them. I mean, it's basically some supply and demand affects prices, right? The less access to energy you have, the more vulnerable you are, and the more leverage other players in the game have over you. This is going to be a big deal having Iran on US side, because as we move forward, we're entering into a new Cold War era between United States and China, right? And we're going to that really, we're like heading towards that really rapidly. And Iran and Venezuela being places where China and Russia could basically come in and operate was not a good position to be in before we enter this phase. But now, especially with Iran, if it becomes a US ally, which has even much higher potential to be a US ally than other countries because the demographic in Iran is pro American. So, as if you have democracy in Iran, if you have a state that reflects the nation, the state will be pro American because the nation is pro American, right? So, it's really easy to do in Iran, because in other countries, when you want them to be pro-American, you have to support dictators who do not reflect the nation, right? Because the nation is not pro-American. So you have to kind of try to have, like, you have to have people who in power who are not a representation of the people. But in Iran, it's very easy because all you have to do is give them freedom, and the state will become a U.S. ally, because that democracy like it will be the will of the people to be pro-American, and that would be huge. I mean, the Middle East, it's not just a security thing. When it comes to security threats, there's so much economic advantages, so which matters a lot in geopolitics, right? um Especially the energy market. Okay, it would give United States such leverage. So turning Iran, which is a big country with 90 million people, which is a big geography, huge influence in the Middle East, which connects three continents, and is basically right in the middle of the most important potential trade routes that connects India and China to Europe and Africa and Israel. Having that area become pro-American before we enter this Cold War phase is such a strategic advantage to United States, and it's so big that that could become like in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll see how big of a difference maker this was once it happens. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question, Richard?
Yeah, yeah, you brought up excellent points. I appreciate it very much. While I've got the mic, I also wanted to let you know I've been studying the NBC Irakshi interview, and I saw I think might be a very helpful tell as to see when Irakshi is lying. If you watch him carefully, every time he lies, his lips are moving, and whenever his lips move, he's lying. So, food for thought.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. That was
Take
good.
care.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
Uh,
Javid Shah.
Jeffrey, I think Javid Shah, Payande Iran, Am Israel Chai. Jeffrey, you wanted to add something to this, I think?
Yeah. I mean, so again, there's a lot to deal, like taking the mullahs off the board, considering we're in the opening stages of a high intensity systemic war amongst a great power subset of the world system, and elements of the autocratic bloc were all coordinating their efforts, whether it's Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, Chinese Communist Party, previously soon to not be the mullah regime, North Korean regime, Venezuela, like the violent Marxist majority regime out of Venezuela, all this other stuff going on, like the violent Castro regime in Cuba that's about ready to be taken out. We had to take the mullah regime off the board. And Armin's right. Having Iran, a free Iran that is co-aligned with the United States, is crucial to meeting that challenge. It's not just denying Chicums and Putin, buddy. We're going to need you guys in the fight. That's true. I know you don't want to hear that because of how much they've suffered. I'm just saying that.
Wait, why would you say that? I'm okay with hearing everything. But yeah,
Uh,
go on.
so as far as like Iranians are like, geez, we just got done like liberating our country. Like we're going to need the very light that the brave Iranian protesters demonstrated in taking down the oppression that has occupied Iran since '79. The world is going to need that light in the broader darkness that we're going to be facing with the autocratic bloc. Like we are going to need Persian ingenuity, right? Like it goes beyond just denying the Chicoms and Putin access. It's about Iranians now because they're liberated, being able to contribute to positive forces in the world, which they very much were under His Highness Prince Mohammed Reza Pahlavi. I mean, like they were right there, and I can't wait to see that again. That's going to be amazing. Like it'd be amazing. It would be very cool to party in a liberated Tehran with you, man. Like that's going to be
Awesome. All right, let's go to the next person.
Yeah, next person is Samantha.
Yeah, back to the whole thing with the Iranian women's football. How are they getting deported back to Iran if, like, the airport is destroyed? Like, they're not gonna are they gonna row them across the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, to like? How are they?
I mean, there's not just one airport in Iran. I think there's not even just one First of all, the airport wasn't destroyed. If you look at the videos that came after, there were specifically Islamic Republic planes that were destroyed when we saw the videos that came the day after. and there were like, not only that, there were actual commercial planes right next to them that
Yeah.
were with not a scratch on them. But even if that airport was destroyed, there are other airports.
Yeah, okay. But I mean,
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
still, if it's constantly going under rocket fire, yeah, you can't have plane in the sky when rockets are incoming.
I mean, you shouldn't. You can, but you shouldn't.